10 random magic cards rated, day number 81. TGIF, everybody. Hope your week has been good, and I hope your weekend's even better. And your life just keeps getting better and better from there. I really do. Alabaster Mage, our first card of the day. Originally printed in Magic 2012 over here. This is 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/1 human wizard. You can pay 1 and a white and have target creature you control gain lifelink until end of turn. Pretty drafty, dude. But back when Magic 2012 was printed, I bet this guy was actually kind of fine as like a, 17 to 23rd card in your deck, you only get 22, 23 spots in your limited deck. And I feel like this guy probably got a slot, but that's about it. He's doing the Salt Bay thing too, by the way, this thing. So that's kind of neat that he was printed 10 years before Salt Bay was a thing, but he's doing that. Wonder if this is the guy that inspired Salt Bay, actually. But anyway, this is like a 2.2, sure. Moving on to Oboro Envoy here. This is Saviors of Kamigawa and only Saviors of Kamigawa. 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 1/3 Moonfolk Wizard with flying. You pay 2 and return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gets -X/-0, X being the number of cards in your hand. That's not bad. That's not, man. In your landfall decks that incorporate blue, you get to return multiple lands to your hand in a turn if that's what you want to do for relatively low activation cost and mess with your opponent's, weird. Oh my God. Target creature gets -X/-A. It doesn't say till end of turn. Yes, it does. It does say that. It doesn't say it on the card, but it does say it in the Oracle text. Target creature gets -X/-O, X being the number of cards. It does not say till end of turn. That's so weird. Is that a misprint? It's very strange. But yeah, on the Oracle text, it says until end of turn. So that I almost freaked out about that for a second. But yeah, still, you get to mess with your opponent's attack step, -X/-O, their best creature. You still have mana and another person tries to attack you the next turn. Just do it again, You'll get more landfall triggers. I kind of think this is neat. I kind of do. 4. I'll give this a 4 is kind of high, but I'll give it to it, man. I think there's obvious use cases for this that aren't like that narrow or Christmas Land. I think it's fine. We'll move on to Nature's Spiral. Just found me a new card. Nature's Spiral is up next. A sort of much worse regrowth. This is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So not any card, only permanents. Still okay, though. I'll give Nature's Spiral a 4.7. But when we actually see regrowth, I'll be forced to give it like an 8 or something. You know what I mean? But turning any card is so much better than like being stuck with just permanents. But this can still be a playable Magic card. But, 4.7, 4.8, those can be playable. Kind of depends on the spot. So Guardian Savior's up next. We have done this card already just the other day, and I had a lot to say about it. I wished it were good, but it never quite was. Necro Savant. Ooh, originally printed in Visions. This is 6 mana, 3 and 3 black for a 5/5 zombie giant is the actual creature types on this. You can pay 5 mana and sack a creature to put Necro Savant into play from your graveyard. You can only do that during your upkeep. A little bit lame, you can only do it during your upkeep, but still, this is, it doesn't get like a finality counter or anything like that. It doesn't like exile if it dies again, nothing like that. They didn't even have these terms way back then. No, you can just continuously bring this back into play from your yard for less mana than its actual casting cost. You can mill it into your yard and then sacrifice a creature, which is the thing you sometimes want to do, obviously, in black. And then now you got a 5/5. And if they kill it, you can do that again, man. Like, this is actually pretty good. I don't know that it's good anymore. I wouldn't necessarily say that, right? But back in the day in kitchen table Magic, this was a feared Magic card, dude. Extremely feared Magic card. You had to have Swords to Plowshares or you're going to die to this card. This is just how it worked, I'm going to give Necro Savant 4.5. It's not the card that it used to be, but again, I've got a lot of love for Necro Savant, dude. You're so cool. Like, it's still cool. It's to this day, that's still a pretty cool ability, man. And I don't know if it would like see play in standard, but it might. This might honestly see some standard play, because it wouldn't get a finality counter on it. You just do it. It dies, whatever. Let's do it again. That's awesome. But anyway, we'll move on to Swamp. All basic lands get a 5. Kind of like the iridescence on this art. That's pretty good. Land Grant. Only ever really printed in Mercadian masks, and will probably never be printed, at least into standard again. This is 1 and a green for a sorcery. If you have no land cards in hand, you can reveal your hand instead of paying Land Grant's mana cost. Search your library for a forest, put the card into your hand, shuffle your library. So, you know what most decks did back in the day? They would just cut 4 forests and play 4 Land Grant instead. So you'd see like, 16 forests or something like that in a 20 forest, should be 20 forest deck. But 4 of those forests are technically Land Grants. Just amazing. Dude, this card is absolutely amazing. It really is. And there are various ways of getting it back from your graveyard, or effectively flashing it back, even if it doesn't have flashback. But mostly it's just a free land. It's just a free land. It's a lay of the land you don't pay any mana for. And anytime you don't pay mana for a card that helps you like perform one of the most important game actions in the early game, yeah, you found yourself a great Magic card. There's reasons this hasn't been printed again. There's reasons why it's such an important card in 97, 98, or whatever that format is, 96 to 98. And it's still important in just about every format it is legal in, like Legacy, Vintage. These are important formats for it. It's important in Oathbreaker, by the way. I see it's legal in Oathbreaker, and now that I remember that, I have seen people talk about it in Oathbreaker recently on Twitter, so the card is still important there, I guess. It's going to be important in every format it's legal. This is like an 8.5. It really is, guys. I think a lot of people are going to look at Land Grant and not really get why this is such a busted card, but it is. It's basically broken. It's basically a broken Magic card. And also, I haven't pointed this out yet, but it just says a forest. It doesn't say a basic forest. Just search for a forest, which again, you can go get duels with this, whatever. So, ugh, Land Grant is the best effect like it that's ever been printed and ever will be printed. So I think 8.5 is justified all day. Land Grant's a absolutely cracked Magic card. We'll move on to Bojuka Bog here. This one is white bordered somehow. Don't see that every day, but Bojuka Bog is originally printed when? I wanna know. World Wake. This is a land that ETB's tap, and when it does ETB, you exile all cards from a player's graveyard, and also taps for black. Bojuka Bog gets like a 6. I know it ETB's tapped and all that, but just free exile an entire graveyard. Not your own, by the way. Not like all graveyards, but one graveyard. So nuts. So nuts. There's a one-of in all of my commander decks that play black. For a reason, this is always going to make somebody really upset. So, like, Bojuka Bog earns a 6 at least, if not more. Swamp is up next again. Another swamp. The art's fine. All basic lands get a 5. Conservator. This is a terrible Magic card. This is one of the worst Magic cards ever printed. 4 mana for an artifact. You can pay 3 and tap it. Prevent the loss of up to 2 life. I know it doesn't say tap here, but mono artifacts. When you use their abilities, you have to tap them. So let's go to Revised, where they stopped doing the mono poly artifact thing. Yeah, pay 3, tap it, prevent the loss of up to 2 life. Horrible, stinker, bad, terrible Magic card. Costs 4 mana to get into play in the first place. 3 mana and a tap. Come on, dude. The best thing about this is the incomparable Amy Weber. Always giving us really cool art whenever we see her. And Conservator is no exception. It's really cool art here, but a tragically bad Magic card. I'm going to give this a 1. Not many cards are going to get a 1, but this is so bad, dude. But Mist Dragon, nice. Only ever printed in Mirage, part of the reserve list, and beautiful art by Al Davidson here. 6 mana, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/4 dragon. You can pay 0 and have it gain flying. This effect lasts indefinitely. You can also pay 0 and have it lose flying. This effect, too, lasts indefinitely. You can also pay 5 mana and have this phase out. So we all know how phasing works, right? It's going to phase in before you untap during your next untap step. This was also feared on kitchen tables back in the day, but even outside of kitchen tables, this was in like real honest-to-God control decks as a finishing move. Because once it's out, it's literally impossible to deal with. You know, sweeper effects, swords to plowshares, whatever. You can't kill it. Oh, you want to double bolt it? Well, it's going to phase out. Pretty great. You can always, like, while the phase out trigger is on the stack, you can, you know, hit it with another removal spell, but that's like literally your only chance of killing this. And that does not happen against control very often. So if you want to double terror it, I guess try and be my guest, but that's card advantage to the control deck, man. This card used to be really, really good. It's almost like a Morphling before Morphling existed. This is like the first Morphling. When you think about it, this is kind of like the first Morphling, and it doesn't get enough like credit for being that, but yeah, it can lose flying, it can gain flying. And then phasing out, obviously, is the protection ability you would normally see on a Morphling type card. So, yeah, card is still fun. If you want to try it in like a simplified or old school cube, this card is still very irritating to have to like play against, and pretty satisfying to play with some of the time. So, give it a shot, dude. I have to give Mist Dragon like a 4. I really do. It probably gets slightly more than that in my headcanon, but I have to be responsible. When have I ever been responsible? Glint Nest Crane is up next. Good magic card. 2 mana, 1 on a blue for a 1/3 Boyd with flying. When it ETBs, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them. Put that thing into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Any order, not a random. In any order. I guess I've never really noticed that before. But yeah, look at the top 4. Get an artifact on a 1/3 flyer for 2. Excellent rate. Excellent rate. Great in, you know, standard, I guess. It wasn't great in standard when we had it, but people did play it. Just always a good little role player. A 2-drop flyer with card advantage, I'll just take it, man. 5. Easy 5. Maybe 5-10 years ago, this would be a 5.4. You know what I mean? But I think this is like the average build of a Magic card nowadays. You could argue that the average Magic card, a 5, is still like kind of drafty because most Magic cards are drafty, but this is the beginning of where I want to see like a decent power level start. So I'll give it a 5. Final card of the day already is Very Cryptic Command. No, it's not. That's an uncard. We don't count uncards. Next is Day of Destiny from Betrayers of Kamigawa over here. 4 mana, 3 and a white for a legendary enchantment. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. That's pretty good. I remember you. But again, cards from back then, if they didn't see play in standard, I don't really remember them very well. And this is one of those. You know, we didn't play this in standard, so I didn't really commit it to my memory banks. I don't have memories with it, of playing with it or anything. So sometimes I see cards from like sets I played during, and I'm still like, what are you, you know? But I feel like I should have seen this at some point in my life. Look at that text box. 4 mana is probably too much for this, but legendary creatures getting a double boost. Okay, you know, you can get this for really cheap though. You can. Even the Dominaria United Commander one, which keeps the same art, is really, really cheap. It's like 8 cents. But yeah, I think this is a fine Magic card, although narrow. So I'll give it a 4.8 to kind of end the day. But of course, in legendary decks, it's like a 6, right? but even in legendary decks, it costs a pretty penny to get down, right? But I still think you can just like have 4 or 5 legends out, throw this down, and like everyone starts sweating. Like it has relevance the turn it comes into play. You want to point that out? That's pretty good, you know? Pretty good. But I still think like a 4.8-ish is probably where it goes. But that is it for Friday, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday too. I'll see you guys bright and early Saturday, unless you got something to do, and then I'll see you later. You'll catch up to it, I'm sure. I'll see you guys. Bye.